seen my videos from about a year ago, I opened up and let everybody know that I was addicted to pain medication. I was prescribed an immense amount of pain medication from an accident, and if something wasn't working, they would just keep prescribing more and more and more, stronger, 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 never asking for the old medication back. So I had like my own little pharmacy, and one day I woke up and I no longer wanted the medication. I needed it. My body couldn't function without it. It had happened that fast. That fast. But it's been 9 years, and I have been clean, 100% clean, and sober. And it's an extreme blessing because I definitely got to a very scary place in my life because of the disease of addiction. I hurt a lot of people. And I had to do a lot of healing. And it didn't happen overnight. But I need people to know that it's possible. And I need people to know that they're not alone. So even if you're not dealing with addiction, if you have somebody in your family who is, if you have been hurt by somebody who's dealing with addiction, you are not alone. And it's going to be okay. It's okay. It's okay. You are safe here. I remember when I realized that I might have had a problem, how scared I was, how ashamed I was. And I thought, how did I get here? How could this have happened? I had a professional telling me I needed this medication. And now there's so many things going on in the world that are overshadowing addicts and addiction. You barely hear it talked about. Is it because it's not being talked about? People aren't thinking about it. People aren't aware of how bad it is. How many people are losing their lives every day. I will list some statistics on the screen for you. I will also put information in the description box and some tip lines that you can call if you are struggling. I promise there is life after addiction, but you need to want to get better. Nobody can make you. so it'll be a little easier for you to find if you don't know what a description box is, because I know when I first started doing YouTube and like watching YouTube, I didn't know what a description box was, so it'll be down there. But as you guys know, if you've watched my previous video, the video about jail, I explained that I got into some legal troubles. I was pulled long. So like my body's already freaking out. My anxiety was so bad at this time. And I don't know if I said I've been clean 9 years. I probably have, but this was 9 years ago. I swear it's like it was somebody else's life, guys. It's so crazy. It's like I'm watching a movie in my head that was like somebody else's life. Just very crazy. shady bit